Tesla going bankrupt? Is this really a realistic possibility? Is this real life, guys? This hedge fund manager, we're going to dissect his comments here in just a second. He believes Tesla could go bankrupt within a few months. Yes, you heard me right, a few months. So we're going to talk about this, and I'm going to kind of give you my opinion on if I think this is realistic or if this is completely a bunch of malarkey. He is a short seller on Tesla stock, so obviously he has a hidden advantage. He wants Tesla to fall, obviously, okay? So he says Tesla is just months away from a total collapse, it says this hedge fund manager. Unless Elon Musk pulls a rabbit out of his hat, Tesla will be bankrupt within 4 months, says John Thompson of Villas Capital Management. Companies eventually have to make a profit, and I don't see that ever happening here, he told MarketWatch. This is one of the worst income statements I've ever seen, in between the story and the financials will win out in this case. Thompson manages $25 million, and his fund is short, obviously, Tesla shares. It's actually their biggest position currently. Just real quick, before we get on to the rest of what he said, we'll look at the income statement. He says it's one of the worst income statements he's ever seen. I'm not convinced about that. But then we'll kind of, just talk up here for a second about, he says companies eventually have to make a profit. Yeah, but companies could go decades without making a profit and still make a go of it, okay? GoDaddy, I don't think that, GoDaddy's a public company, right? This company has never made a profit in the history of the company, and the company is like 20 years old, guys. Amazon took losses for the longest time. Amazon just very recently started to get a little bit profitable, which is still very minuscule, okay? Netflix took losses for a ton of time. Facebook, pretty much anybody, Twitter, any social media company out there has taken losses for a long time. So the notion of, oh, just because they're taking losses means they're going to go bankrupt, that's not accurate. Tons of companies do that, okay? It's very common. So let's look at these next 2 paragraphs here. Tesla, without any doubt, is on the verge of bankruptcy, he told clients in an email over the weekend. He explained that funding will be hard to come by in the face of problems in delivering the Model 3, declining demand for the Model S and Model X, extreme valuation, and likely a downgrade of its credit rating by Moody's from B- to CCC. As a reality check, Tesla is twice as much as Ford, okay? Yet Ford made 6 million cars last year and $7.6 billion in profit, while Tesla made 100,000 cars last year and took a $2 billion loss. Further, Ford has $12 billion in cash for a rainy day. Tesla, he says, is going to likely run out of money within the next 3 months. I've never seen anything so absurd in my life. So, real quick, I do agree with him in the sense that, the valuation on Tesla compared to what they're producing now is ridiculous. There's no other way. And that's, although I'm very long bullish Tesla, I don't own any Tesla shares because I look at the valuation, I'm like, they're only doing this number of cars right now. Yes, I think they're going to do way more than that in the future. I think they're going to be the dominant auto manufacturer. But looking at this one from a valuation standpoint, I got to pay a bigger valuation than what I would pay for Ford. That's pretty steep, man. That's pretty steep. So I'm kind of welcoming this drop. So obviously these comments had an effect on the stock today. As of taking the screenshot, Tesla shares were down right around 6%. They might have got worse as the market got worse throughout the day. I'm not sure. Income statement. Let's look at this income statement right now. Okay. Total revenue. That's one of the biggest things you're going to look at in an income statement. You're going to look at the revenues. Okay. When you look at an income statement, you're going to look at, the loss or the gain they had in profits. They did $4 billion 2015. 2016, they do $7 billion in revenue. This past year, nearly $12 billion in revenue, okay? This current year we're in, they're expected to do close to $20 billion in revenue. And next year, 2019, they're expected to do around $27 billion in revenue, all right? Now, let's look at the bottom line real quick. Obviously, huge losses are taken, $888 million, then, almost 700 million loss, and then almost a $2 billion loss. So obviously, they are taking big losses here. But if we look at that income statement, guys, what is the trend we see? We see big losses. Absolutely, that is a trend. But what's the other trend we see? Revenue going up massively on a massive scale right now, and their premier product just came out. Tesla's iPhone just came out in the Model 3, okay? This is just going into mass production now, okay? So this is a company that is projected to do somewhere around $27 billion in 2019, which means, in my opinion, Tesla will be be doing over $100 billion in revenue within the decade, and they will be the dominant auto manufacturer for sure in the United States, possibly around the world. I'm not going to go as far as say around the world, but for sure in the United States, they will be the dominant auto manufacturer. This guy's whole premise on Tesla is going to go bankrupt is the craziest thing I have maybe ever heard, ever. I'm like, he has no clue. I'm like, do you have any clue on how many banks would throw any bit of money? They could raise bonds. Elon Musk could sell some of his ownership. You think Ford and GM and the European automakers would gladly make an investment in this? Yes, I can almost guarantee you behind closed doors, a lot of them probably already have made offers. Hey, we want 10%. We want 15% ownership of Tesla. We'll give you, $5 billion, $10 billion, whatever amount it takes. You think they want a piece of that pie? Absolutely, guys. Everyone wants a piece of that pie, right? This is a company that is going to grow on a massive scale and become the dominant auto manufacturer. It's here for everyone to see. So the fact that this guy thinks they're going to go bankrupt, it's unrealistic. Bankrupt companies that go bankrupt, okay? Those are the kind of companies that no one wants to loan money in because they don't believe that that company has a future, okay? Tesla, almost anybody believes it has a future unless they just hate Tesla for whatever reason they hate Tesla, okay? But almost any practical person will look at Tesla and they say, that's for sure, even if you're not as bullish as me where you think they're going to be the dominant auto manufacturer in North America, you're probably at least saying that they're probably going to be one of the most dominant auto manufacturers in the United States of America, if not around the world. That's what most practical people would say. Almost no one out there would say, oh no, the revenues are going to go down. Like, it's so unrealistic, guys. So this is a company that's going to be bringing in more and more money. Will they get to profitability? Probably eventually. I don't know if it's this year. I highly doubt it's this year, okay? I highly doubt it's even next year. Maybe it's 2020, maybe it's 2021, sometime around then. We don't know. No one knows, and that's kind of this guy's point, but he thinks they're going to go bankrupt, and I'm like, dude, no, they're not going bankrupt, okay? The companies that are becoming an industry-changing company, that what Amazon represents to retail, Tesla represents that in auto manufacturing, okay? What Netflix represents to, what it's done to cable companies, Tesla represents that to what it's doing to auto manufacturers. And if you look at auto manufacturers, Tesla's going to do 27 billion, probably somewhere around there in 2019, okay? Where do you think that $27 billion in pie is coming out of? It's not just like coming out of thin air. It's not just like some new industry they're growing. Those are going to come out of Ford sales, GM sales, the European companies sales, all these different companies that, are mass marketed, some of the Korean companies. Those sales are going to be taken directly from all those companies, a little chunk here, a little chunk here. And when this company is doing 50 to 100 plus billion over the next decade, they're going to be the dominant guy in the space. So it's so unrealistic for this guy to say they're going bankrupt. It's almost laughable. But he's a short seller. Obviously, who knows? Maybe he wants to cover his shares. He wants to go down as much as possible in the short term. I hope he gets it to go down more because I would love to buy some shares of Tesla at some point in time. This valuation still on Tesla, I just cannot pay it. I think they're going to be way bigger, but guys, it's like a $50 billion or something you got to pay for this company right now. A company that is losing a lot of money right now and that produced, 100,000 cars last year. So I can't pay up for that valuation. But on the other hand, they're not going away anytime soon and they're going to become more dominant. So that's my opinion on it. Let me know your guys' opinion down there in the comment section. I would love to hear from you guys. As always, make sure you get in my private stock market membership group if you have not already. That's the first link down there in the description. There's a million advantages to being in there. Thank you for watching and have a great day.